You know,
and they often are.
A wife is often the harshest critic of her husband.
I thought I was invincible. That's what you're trained to believe as a sports person.
There was 4 million people in Ireland who knew much more about managing football teams than I did. When it comes to music, I can spoof with the best.
Your sporting career is the best time you'll have, and you know you have to hang on to it for as long as you like, because everything else is pretty crappy.
And this is not lies. Stephen Rothschild has never spoken to Jimmy McGuinness in his life.
And you're very welcome back. Just a reminder, we're live across the Off the Ball social channels, youtube.com/offtheball, facebook.com/offtheball, and at Off the Ball on Twitter. We've some comments coming in which I will read out pertaining to the League of Ireland. It's 0-0 at half-time in Burnley and Spurs. But I'd like to welcome our 3 guests in. We have Shane Keegan, former Galway United manager and working busy in the media at the moment, particularly in USOC.
Absolutely something to keep tipping over, Johnny, don't you?
You're in Off the Ball nearly every second day at the moment.
That's sick of the sight of you anyway, that's for sure.
Vice versa. We have, speaking of sick of the sight of, we have Ciarán Kilduff, who broke Galway United hearts last night with a late double for Shelbourne.
Not remotely sorry.
Yeah, who, you? On to Gary O'Neill, UCD captain, one of the only players to play in the League of Ireland from County Kerry. I saw another of them, Derek used to play for Galway United.
O'Brien?
Derek O'Brien.
Yeah.
He walked off disconsolately when the third goal went in last night in front of me. He'd had enough. It was just that type of night in Galway. But how are you?
Great. Yeah, as good as it can be.
Yeah, can you explain? You didn't have a great night last night in Belfield.
Not a great night. Frustrating. It's been kind of a tough start to the season for us. You know, it's been an eye-opener as what we're used to the last 4 years in the First Division. It's a completely different ball game now, and it's one we're trying to get used to, but it was a tough night.
How different is it?
Just everything. Everything's different. Build up to games, atmospheric games, tempo of games. It's you're used to, you know, I think last season we played Wexford down in Wexford, and on a Monday it was a bank holiday and there was 70 odd people there, you know, and last night the ball was full, and every game for us is an away game now because everyone last night was buzzed, and it was tough. They scored 2 unbelievable goals. 2 of the best goals I've ever seen live.
Really?
Yeah, the Mandreo's goal is something that, you know, it's unbelievable. And
Boy Mandreo seems to be very well regarded.
Yeah, he's talented, he's a really good player. Played in the 10 last night and he was hard to get around. Picked up good positions, is strong as well. Denny Corcoran done what he does. He scored an acrobatic goal in the 6-yard box.
Just one of the best finishers that the League of Ireland has seen.
Yeah, it was unbelievable finish last night. And it's been tough for us, just trying to get up to the pace of things, and we're used to dominating games, and it's not like that anymore. We're used to creating a lot of chances, and it's not like that anymore. We're going to have to become more clinical and more ruthless in both boxes. So
I suppose the thing for you is everyone's writing you off already.
Yeah, and you know, it's a thing that we were expecting, really. You know, we probably didn't expect to get off to as bad a start that we have, but
only 2 games.
Yeah, no, just conceding 5 goals in 2 games is kind of, you know, it's not what we wanted. Obviously, it's not what we expected either, but the thing about UCD is that we've no fans putting any pressure on us, so it's kind of all internally. So we'll deal with it amongst ourselves. We've no pressure from the outside, really. It's just the media's going to put a bit of pressure on us for being bottom, but it's just something that we're going to deal with internally, I think.
Ciarán, what did you make of Eamon DC Park last night? A bit of a mad game, to put it mildly.
It was a crazy atmosphere. It was really, really good. It wasn't something I expected. Maybe in the First Division, it felt like as big a game as any I've kind of played in the League of Ireland terms. With the president being there, the big turnout, the stage was set, and in terms of drama and quality of goals and execution of the 2 Galway goals was amazing. I think it had everything. Obviously, you're probably more disappointed than we are today, but you know, we would have been kicking ourselves coming up the road had we not turned that around in the end.
At least gotten a draw, like.
Yeah, you know, it would have been a terrible start to the year for us. Pressure's on us, like you were saying. It's just different types of pressure. You know, we're obviously the division below, and the pressure's on us to win. And if we had, you know, we were 2-0 down after 16 minutes, to be honest, going to be worse than that for a start for a season. And to turn it around and get out of jail, it kind of, you know, we went home completely in a mindset that we weren't expecting to be with 15 minutes to go. We got out of jail. The relief was great. You could see it with the celebrations at the end, and it's only 1 game, and it should springboard us on from there.
just one of the texts we got in was in Terryland last night. Terryland was obviously the old name for AMDC Park. Absolutely fantastic match day experience. Result aside, lights, smoke, machines, drums, place looked brilliant for TV. All the extras have made a great adverse for the club. Tend to go to 3 or 4 games a year since a young lad. Myself and my father both thought it was the best experience we've had in years, which is great considering they lost. Not best pleased by the Shells fans' celebrations though. Keep it in the stand, lads. Joe and Galway. That's in relation to Shells fans more or less celebrating by running onto the pitch, and they were kind of helped and encouraged, I think, by the celebrations of the man to my left there.
Well, they were already on the pitch by the time I got there, so I wouldn't say I helped them. But no, look, it was one of those things.
Emotions, isn't it?
Yeah, no, listen, it was one of those things. It happens. It's happened before. It'll happen again, and you see it in Scotland last week with Scott Brown.
Yeah, exact same, wasn't it?
I'm not an advocate for it. It shouldn't happen. It's not good. The stewards have a hard enough job as it is. I just think it happened, and thankfully no one got hurt or anything like that, and there was no big issues. And as I said, it shouldn't happen down the line. But it was just one of those things that boiled over. The manner of the game led to it.
We can move on to Premier Division, but before we do, just can you describe Collie Kelly's goal? Because Collie Kelly's a 17-year-old who's come through, joined Galway United 17s last season, was with Review. His father played for Galway United. There's been a lot of talk about him. I'd seen him play once at underage, but he was playing on the right wing despite the fact that he's left-footed. Now the goal, how could you describe it? This was about 5 minutes in.
It was incredible. I didn't realise till after how young he was. The execution of it was incredible as well. The opportunity, maybe arose maybe by mistake on our half. The keeper's out. He had 2 defenders on the line. The ball never bounced from when he struck it, and it hit
about 45 yards out, maybe
at
on
an
the wing.
angle. And to hit it the way he did, it couldn't be any better than that. Like, to be fair, and obviously I was on the other end of it, so I wasn't happy to see it go in. But when you look back there now, credit to him, was an amazing strike. And as good as that was, Vinny Faherty's just afterwards was another amazing finish as well. First time lob, and to be honest, not saying the conditions played a role in it, but two amazing and expertly executed finishes.
Shane, is that what the League of Ireland should all be about?
Yeah, look, it's great to have absolute shed load of cracking goals by the sounds of things on the one night. They seem to be flying in from all angles. You're keeping an eye on Twitter from games around the grounds, and it seemed to be a competition as to who'd seen the best goal in the League of Ireland last night, and there was people from 3 or 4 different grounds trying to claim it. Kelly, obviously I would have seen last year. I know 17s football is 17s football, but I think he averaged more than a goal a game. He really is an absolute goal machine. We got him in training with us during midterm breaks and Easter breaks. I'd get on to Alan Murphy and say, listen, is there any chance he could come up? And he did. Yeah, he impressed with even in first team training. So he's certainly a young one that you'd be looking to keep an eye on.
It wouldn't be the League of Ireland without a deep kind of look into the soul in terms of where we're going and general insecurities and all that. But the crowd so far this season have been excellent. Over 4,000 in Tala last night, around over 2,000 in Finn Harps. I think the official figure might be a little bit less. 3,300 in Sligo. I don't think people get this enough. Sligo's a town of roughly 20,000 people. And obviously the county has more, but 20,000 people, you've over 3,000 at a game. We've got a couple of texts in. I'm from Belmulloch, go to Sligo games, always enjoy, 90% of the time see good football, teams try to play worth a go. Harry, 3,300 Sligo supporters were at the showgrounds last night. That's a figure you should mention if trying to promote the league, but it's great stuff, Shane.
Yeah, I remember I went to a coaching conference in Sligo. It must be probably 4 years ago now, I'd say. And I remember driving into the town and heading through the town to go up to the hotel. And looking around, it was the only time I'd ever been through a town where what you would normally see leading into an All-Ireland final was what you were seeing leading up to an FAI Cup final. The whole town was absolutely decked in red and white, absolutely everywhere. Had a really, really brilliant feeling to it. I'd never really seen that. As I say, unfortunately for us, you only kind of get that in GA circles normally. The only one probably comparable to it is for work reasons. I was in Dundalk last weekend. Similar crack. You see lots of people actually walking around in the jerseys. So yeah, look, and I also saw on Twitter there earlier a month or so ago. I think their finances were made public, Sligo's, and you see the contribution coming in from the fans via either kind of the lottery that they run or a kind of a direct money that they're putting in through these different schemes, and it's just phenomenal what the people are doing over there. What
was Dundalk like, Ciarán? Ciarán, of course, scored the 2 historic goals for Dundalk in 2016. The first draw a League of Ireland club achieved in European group combat against AZ Alkmaar when he outmuscled, do you remember his name? He was about 6'10".
I think it was
Veghorst, he outmuscled a 6'10" opponent for AZ Alkmaar to score an equaliser for 10-man Dundalk, and then in the following game got the winner against Maccabi Tel Aviv in Tallaght Stadium. But what was Dundalk like to play for? It seemed a proper football town as well.
It was amazing. Listen, the thing about all those, you know, you were saying there about Sligo is like, usually at the start of every year everyone gets behind it and then it dwindles away if they're not challenging or successful. Like Dundalk, 8 years ago, I remember playing up there in front of 200-300 people if I was at UCD or at Kildare County, and if they weren't challenging, and you know, all of a sudden people start getting behind something that's successful and, you know, it's about doing it right. Then Shamrock Rovers have kind of always had their support, and you know,
there you are actually as well with the man Kenny after AZ Alkmaar.
Yeah, the future Ireland manager, there he is.
Yeah, and the future Shelbourne top scorer potentially this season.
I hope so. Look, there's a lot of pressure on us as a club anyway to perform. It's not all about me or you know, I know everyone's saying Conan Byrne and me were two big signings, but like, it's a tough league to get out of anyway. But to go back to Dundalk, it was an amazing time for me to be part of that. You know, they'd won the league before I got there. I was lucky to be part of two more of their campaigns in which we won it as well. It was amazing. The fans were getting behind it. You could tell that the town were really pushing for the team. And I remember when Paul Cook was the manager of Sligo and they were winning the league and they won an FAI Cup, they were bringing 10,000-15,000 to the Aviva and all, and it was an amazing thing to see. And you know, they've probably dropped off from that now, but like I said, if a team can be successful on the pitch, usually it replicates in the stands and people get behind it and support it and buy the jerseys. And you know, Richie Towell was probably the first superstar I saw in the league. Like, there was kids getting his hair cut and doing a celebration and stuff like that, and that was the first time where I began to see, like, you know, you can really influence. You can be an influencer within the league. You know what I mean?
Influencer, that word. Yeah,
there it is again. Yeah, but no, like that was just what I could see. So Dundalk, it's probably at the summit of it now at the minute.
We've plenty of time to discuss just where the league is at, and obviously Niall Quinn's proposals, which have garnered a lot of headlines. But Shane, you got a bit of WhatsApp audio from Mikey Drennan. Now, you know Mikey quite well, but Mikey Drennan's a fascinating story because he was over at Aston Villa, came back to Shamrock Rovers, left Shamrock Rovers citing depression as his main issue, nearly joined Galway United, another kind of nearly story for Galway football, joined Sligo Rovers and then left Sligo for St. Pat's, scored against them last night in the showgrounds. What happened?
Yeah, look, I'll let him tell the story so as the background on it, but yeah, he scored a goal and he headed off on a bit of a run in the direction of a group of Sligo supporters with the two hands up to the two ears, so there was obviously something that had gone on beforehand. So I just wanted to get a bit of the background as to what was behind the celebration of him, I suppose. Yeah,
I seem to recall Ciarán Kilduff doing a similar celebration actually in the Netherlands that time, but
my own fans.
Yeah, it was your own fans, which makes it kind of a little bit more benign maybe. But let's hear the audio from Mikey Drennan.
Mikey, congratulations on another great goal last night. That's two winners in the opening two games of the season. You seemed to really enjoy that one last night. Can you give us a bit of a story around the background for the celebration?
Yeah, thanks, Shane. Must have really enjoyed it last night, and especially good to get the win in that. But I think the weather was terrible. It wouldn't really allow you to play football, but I think we fully deserved the win. And I think when I got the goal in the last minute, I think my emotions were running high. And look, I celebrated with getting stick all game. Look, it's like all different things are coming out saying we left on a technicality and we left for more money, which isn't true. Like, and basically I just wanted to celebrate for my team that's I'm employed by now. And look, it was a great win, and I think a lot of things that were being said before the game and getting stick and all that, and that was just the way it is. And it was just towards those fans in the corner, I don't know, whatever they call themselves. I think it was just towards them. It wasn't towards any of the other Sligo fans. It was just towards them for all the stick I was getting, and they had a banner up or something like that as well. So look, I think in games like that your emotions get the better of you, and I really enjoyed. And look, that's all I want to do is score goals, and I'm just really happy to get the win and push on to Monday.
The more of this in the League of Ireland we can get, the absolute better. Gary, if you finally leave UCD, it's been mooted a long time, you're leaving someone, you go to sign for someone, you score against UCD and the UCD Ultras are giving you a load of abuse, would you celebrate like that?
Yeah, in front of 2 or 3 people. Fairly muted, alright.
All of them parents.
Yeah.
But I've no issue with this whatsoever. I think it's all in good crack.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's, it's something that maybe the league lacks To be honest, there's a bit of of camaraderie and
bit of spice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I remember last year we were struggling in a game against Shells, and the Shells fans had been giving me the section of Shells fans in that shed behind the goal. They gave me a stick, and I scored in the 93rd minute, and I'd done a bit of a knee slide, and there was a glass Heineken bottle was thrown at us, and there was serious scenes after that. And Georgie Kelly got sent off, and as he was getting sent off, a fan threw a full bottle of Coke, well, what we think was Coke, and then he actually had to palm it away before it hit him in the head just as he was going down the tunnel. So there is a bit of it, probably not. That wasn't as big as the adrenaline one last
Sadly
night.
enough, like I bring up this argument that why can we drink at rugby games but we can't at League of Ireland games? Unfortunately, that's an example of why people would say. But he spoke about a technicality there, Mikey. I love hearing about technicalities because it means nothing and everything. But what does it mean here?
Yeah, I've seen this. I would have had one example involving the same manager actually previously. It's I don't know if either of you have ever had a contract like this. This crack of an option. So you sign for a year with an option on a second year is the greatest grey area you could ever come across, because there seems to be no kind of black and white as to what does an option on is it an option for me to sign, is it an option for you to sign me? Who's making the decision process?
Kind of like a life in jail with an extra 20 years kind of job. Like, what does that mean?
And look, what I think happened is Mike went up and he signed a short-term contract with an option for another year. Sligo obviously felt that meant we have an option on you and we're going to keep you. I don't think things got tied down quickly enough and Mike moved on. I had the same situation with David Cawley when I brought him in. He had been at Pats the previous year. Pats had an option, or the contract had an option for another year. When I contacted David Cawley, he hadn't heard from anybody at Pats since the season had ended. So as far as he was concerned, he was free to do what he wanted, and he signed. And then there was a bit of furore as to whether the contract was legal or wasn't legal. So it seems to be a very similar situation with Mike. Sligo seemed to think that they still had claim to him, but Mike obviously didn't feel they did, and obviously neither did Pats.
I love the Mikey Drennan story though, because he's been very brave coming out, talking about depression and just making this, making people discuss it. But then he's reacted from that. He went back to Evergreen and people would see that as a retrograde step. But now, apparently he did nothing in the game last night until he scored the goal, which is a bit similar to, he was just a fox in the box. And I get great encouragement out of his story anyway, Ciarán.
Yeah, no, 100%. And look, I'm delighted for him. And I remember Gary Twigg scored a goal and celebrated in front of the Bows fans. And I think that photo's still hanging somewhere in Tala today. That's just part and parcel of the game. With regard to the option thing, it's an absolute mess because it can work both ways. The club are probably feeling a bit aggrieved now, but it could have went the other way. If they decided we're taking in a different number 9 and Mikey's sitting there thinking, oh, well, I think I have a contract there for next year, they can just pull it from him then, and then he's feeling aggrieved. But you won't hear as much about that story because, he's one man versus a club. So, those things should be black and white. When you're sitting down, he's either out there for 2 years. I know I haven't really had any of those issues myself. Getting out of contracts I've had to try and deal with, but none of this option stuff because, someone's always going to feel aggrieved at the end of the day. And in this case, it just ended up in Sligo. So
it's just dawned on me, you're all from counties that don't have a League of Ireland club, Kerry, Kildare and Laois, but it's one of the things that we can talk about now because we never seem to be not talking about the League of Ireland in terms of its general well-being and how we can improve and all that. And I think sometimes we just need to appreciate that it's not too bad. But Ciarán, you spent a portion of your recent years at the wonderfully named Jacksonville Armada, which is a lot better name than Finn Harps and UCD and all that. But what would you do to improve the game? What were your experiences in the States as well, which was obviously something you were keen to try? Yeah, listen, as I said in other interviews and 1,000 times since, it was something that just fell into my lap. I had never heard of Jacksonville Armada before I'd signed for them or they touched base with me. That's the truth. Got to a stage of my career where the ship had sailed going to England and all these things that you maybe dream about as a young lad. I still had my great League of Ireland career. I was at Dundalk, which at the time were arguably the top club in the country, although Cork went on to win the league that year. But I was at the summit as what I thought to be League of Ireland football. I went out there and I literally got everything that this league didn't have to offer in terms of financially. I was well looked after, lifestyle was amazing, facilities were second to none, and even at that they weren't happy with that. They wanted better. They were playing in front of 6,000-7,000. I know the weather makes a big difference as well, but it was the north of Florida. We were an hour and a half from Orlando. It was just a perfect setting to play football and enjoy your sport. And everyone at home was like, "Why the hell did you come back?"
The amount of players who text me during my time out there was incredible. Some of them just looking for a holiday, but look, it was
somewhere to stay.
Yeah. But no, even now Paddy Barrett then went out after me from Dundalk, and he's having a great career, and I'm sure he's earning some good money. And Richie Ryan, Eamon Zaid, Tommy Stewart spent some time out there as well. And it's not all about the money either, but it's just an opportunity that, you know, the door that opens through your football. It was a way for me to have a great lifestyle while playing football at what I thought a relatively good standard. I got to play against the New York Cosmos and score in New York and go out afterwards in New York.
What sort of that? It's the New York Cosmos in Coney Island, is it?
Yeah.
I was actually outside their ground there last week.
It's
and
incredible.
Little did I know Ciarán Kilduff scored there.
Yeah, scored a few there. Yeah, no, it was great.
What was the crowd like?
There was only a couple of thousand at that. I think 3,000 or 4,000. But like that was, they kind of have the history. I think Pele played for them back in the day, and it was an amazing thing to play there and obviously score. We actually were 3-0 up, with a bit of contrast to last night. We were 3-0 up that night. I'd scored 2 and hosing home with 15 minutes to go, and ended up drawing 3-3. And luckily we got the whistle because we were on the ropes at that stage. So
like in comparison to the League of Ireland, stronger, weaker?
Maybe in terms of technical football, no, probably weaker.
Okay. What level are you talking now? Just this
I
league
was the NASL, which is the same level as the USL, just under the MLS. We got to play a few of the MLS teams in friendlies. You don't really know who you're playing against in terms of they've huge academies and stuff like that. And you know, they are a step up again. Like I imagine the MLS is another level than what I was playing at. But
what did you learn there that we can implant here?
Well, I think facilities are huge. You know, I think if you can really improve grounds and stuff like that, like you've seen then Coney Island, like it's a great place to go and enjoy a game as well as everything else. I know it's New York, but you know the facilities, the setup, everything was great. They're very science based out there. It's all monitored and they're really into all those details. Here, there's no disrespect to here. I love this league. I've spent most of my career in this league. I wouldn't swap it, but there is things we can learn from it. I think money is important. Like for example, my club decided they weren't going to enter the league in the 2018 season. And I got every paycheck, every cent I was due. And any other club in Ireland, I know we would have been the first people to miss it was the players.
Yeah, this is the thing that really wrecks my head, Gary, and it's just accepted at this stage that we live in a thriving first world economy with the professional football league with little or no prize money.
Yeah, it is frustrating. It's disheartening, to be honest with you.
No TV money and no prize money. So how do you actually make this a functional professional league without either of those?
It's tough. It actually came up at the launch that we were at last week. The launch, even the launch is 3 days before the season starts, which doesn't really speak too well either.
In which it should be reminded that the FAI revealed a clash between the champions of the South and the North, which the IFA hadn't agreed with them. Yeah. Anyway,
it was. I think actually Brian Garland made an argument to I think it was the national broadcaster was there. The RTE was giving his reasoning behind why Soccer Public's going to be half an hour and why the live TV is going to be extended by the extra half an hour in terms of selling a product and stuff like this. And Brian Garland made a great point that why can't you do more as the national broadcaster to enhance the league, and then maybe things will start to improve from there. And it's just a bit disheartening, to hear the answers, and it's all about the GAA is the product, the GAA is what people want to see, so it can be disheartening, and the prize money as well, like you say. I think the first division prize money is embarrassing, to be honest. I think it's I don't know what the actual figure is. I think it's very minimal though, so it's going to be hard. It'll be hard to improve and sustain that, it's tough.
We do have some good news for the man beside me, Shane Keegan, because there has been a goal at Burnley and Spurs. Adam Jury.
Burnley 1, Tottenham 0, and Chris Wood has given the Clarets an unexpected lead here at Turf Moor. It all came about from a corner, swung in from Dwight McNeil. In the centre of the penalty area was Chris Wood. He connected with his head, and the ball struck the bar and went just over the line, giving Burnley the lead. It's Burnley 1, Tottenham 0.
Of course, that isn't good news for Shane Keegan because he's a Spurs fan. But Shane, the Niall Quinn has come into the news, and this has been kind of reminding me a bit of the field when the Bull McCabe was like, "Go home, Yank. We don't want any outside interference in our little league." And there's a mixed reaction, a lot of suspicion. But what does Niall Quinn want to do in your eyes, and why does he want to improve the League of Ireland?
Well, look, I think there's probably two reasons that the people who are sceptical are sceptical, and I think reason number one is you're asking me what does Niall Quinn want to do. I think Niall Quinn is pretty open himself to saying he doesn't know what he wants to do yet, and that's what people are saying. He seems to be doing a lot of talking without actually saying, giving us the nuts and bolts. The other thing is, I suppose, people are questioning his motives. I attended his that open forum meeting.
With Aidan O'Riordan.
That's right. Yeah, I was at that night, and he was going out of his way to say, I have no aspirations whatsoever to go after the likes of a John Delaney's job or anything like that. But I definitely think he could be a voice for change. I know that's definitely not a consensus, but I think he could, because people are saying, what's he saying that nobody else, that others haven't been saying for a long time? Well, I agree with you. He's not saying a whole lot, but his voice carries so much more weight than mine or yours or Gary's or anybody's.
Also, in fairness to him, he did bring in some new ideas. You know, there were reports done into the League of Ireland before that basically just said, you know, everything's fine, make it a 12-team league to a 10-team league and nothing more than that. He's saying, you know, bring in foreign players. It's all about the youth structure, TV deals. He's definitely spoken to companies about getting involved, big companies.
Yeah, he is doing his homework. There's no doubt, and he's talking to an awful lot of people. And look, again, going back to it, the simple fact is, the money is going to need, or the league is going to need serious investment if it's going to go in the right direction. Am I capable of picking up the phone and 10 different fellas willing to take my phone call who all have $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, $10 million sitting in their bank accounts? Yeah. Of course I can't. Can Niall Quinn? Yes, he can.
Isn't that the frustrating thing as well, Ciarán? We have like the likes of Dermot Desmond, JP McManus, Michael O'Leary, people like that. Particularly, I'm looking at Desmond because of investment in Celtic, but Dundalk finally get investment, and it's outside investment. There isn't somebody in Ireland who's willing to take on the League of Ireland, and there is big prize money in Europe, so there is an incentive there.
Massively, and like, it's all about, can we sustain it? Like, what happens is, in 2011, Shamrock Rovers qualified for the Europa League. To be honest, where all the money went didn't matter, but it wasn't maintained. A couple of years later, Rovers haven't won a league in the last 6-7 years. Dundalk now, you know, qualified with a great team, and all your best players are just, you know, taken away. And in fairness, Stephen Kenny was able to, you know, recuperate and get the team back, and you know, recharge everything there. But going forward, I mean, it's never going to improve. Every time anyone has success, your best players are going, and it is down to money, and it is all down to investment. Because
I don't have a major issue with the best players going, though. I think it's more so if we're going to be a selling league, that's not a big deal as long as we're reimbursed.
Yeah, but it's not happening. Like, where does all the money go? Like, in fairness, like at Oriel now, they're improving things. The new facility, they've got a new gym up there, and they're doing things right. But in the past, like, you go to Tala, it's a great occasion and it's a great setup. You go to Oriel now and it's getting better. But there's the rest of the league are miles behind. There's no disrespect to somewhere like UCD and that as well, but like, you know, they're half stadiums and stuff like that. I'm only saying what I saw in America was they have loads of money, and regardless of the players, and you're saying it doesn't matter. It does matter that they're selling, because as I'm saying, like, as I said, Richie Tao was beginning to get a bit of a, you know, a snowball effect. People were beginning to, he was on a lot of TV stations, he was doing interviews here at Darrell Horgan, all the best players playing for Ireland. No one here is ever going to play for Ireland because they're going to go, and that's exposure for the league and people's investment then. Like, they want to be sticking to something that's going to be able to be maintained. They're not going to invest money blindly. They want to see, okay, well, can Dundalk, it's important, I think, Dundalk now to crack Europe again this year, because I mean,
it's not easy.
It's not easy, and that's where the big money is.
Shane?
Equaliser.
Yeah, we'll keep you in suspense about what's happening in England, but where would you see the league in 10 years' time, 15 years' time?
Well, look, I suppose the big thing I'd say on that, kind of based on what you're both saying as well, is I think there is a tendency for clubs to sit around and just want somebody to arrive in with a magic wand and with loads of money and hand it over and
everything will be okay. Yeah.
So again, looking at Galway, because we both know it so well, like, I would very, very much applaud some of the people that are involved with Galway United, because the Comers didn't come to Galway United. Galway United went and sought out the Comers, and I think there needs to be more of that, where clubs identify people within the locality. Like, the Comers themselves would be, I think, willing enough to admit they wouldn't exactly be massive
League of Ireland
fans, but a proposal was brought to them. They were made, this is the really important thing, they were made to feel
part of it
and very important and all of that kind of thing. And if you can go to people who have a few quid and look, come down and let us show you what we're all about and create a big buzz around the place and all that, and these are our guests of honour maybe, and you bring them out at half time and they come to a Pats game and they shake Chris Forrester's hand, they get a sign ball off him and all that. You know, it can be quite easy to all of a sudden create a love where a love didn't naturally exist with somebody who has a business background and a few quid behind
But I think you need to be at a stage to sell it. I think you have to be so far that you have a good team in place, or at least challenging, and, you know, as I said, European football and stuff like that. That's what I feel is important, because if a club's already in a position, then it will attract investment. To be honest, if you're sending someone down to some of the clubs in Ireland at the minute, they'll run away.
Just on that, Gary, how feasible would it be? I mentioned the fact that none of you come from a county with the League of Ireland team. how feasible would it be to spread the League of Ireland gospel to places like Tralee Dynamos, Castlebar or Portlaoise or Thurles or something like that?
Yeah, I think it's huge. I think Kerry are kind of in the process now. I think they've 15s, 17s, 19s now. Sure. I'm not too sure about the 90s, but they seem to be trying to progress it down there, and I think it's a tough one to crack down there with the football. You know,
they're bringing to Gaelic football down there, are they?
It's huge. Yeah, it's huge. It's going to be a hard one to. It's going to be a hard one to attract the players from away from that.
How strong is soccer down there?
Weak, very weak.
Yeah.
Very good coaches down there. A lot of good soccer people down there, but it's just trying to get the players away from the attraction of being a Kerry minor. It's just it's genuinely nearly borderline impossible.
I'd have a bit of insight on that. Would be so. Before coming into the league, before coming into at Wexford Youths, I was previously managing FC Carlow in the old A Championship, and Tralee Dynamos were in the A Championship at the time. And then there was looking at the A Championship was disappearing, and what way were the clubs that were in that going to be? You know, were some of them going to be brought into the league? What were others going to do? And like Tralee Dynamos made a major push to get into the League of Ireland at that stage. Noel White, who we'd both know, I think was kind of one of the main men behind it, and unfortunately they were kicked back, and it was a big blow to football down there.
Good news for you, Shane. Adam Drury has an update from Turf Moor.
Burnley 1, Tottenham 1, and Harry Kane has scored on his return to the starting lineup, and it came about from a throw-in on the left-hand side where Danny Rose pushed the ball long into an open Harry Kane, who burst through on goal one-on-one with Tom Heaton, and he struck the ball low. It hit the right-hand post and went into the back of the net. It's Burnley 1, Tottenham 1.
It's just 5-2 now. We've about 5 minutes to talk about this season. I'm also going to ask Ciarán about Stephen Kenny. But this season, lads, I have to say I'm delighted that, with all due respect to the big clubs, I'm delighted that it looks like it's going to be an open campaign already, Gary. Cork and Dundalk between them have 2 points.
Yeah, absolutely. If you said to us at the start of the season we'd be level with Cork and 2 points behind Dundalk, we would have.
You're really looking for positives here now.
We would have been up in Europe.
You should be the propaganda man in UCD.
Beat Dundalk on Monday, you go ahead of them. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. You know, we came off the pitch last night and you see Finn Harps have beaten Dundalk, or drawn with Dundalk, and Waterford obviously beat Cork in Turner's Cross. So it's interesting. It's blown it up, and I think this year more than any, it's interesting because there's so much change in the league, with Buckley going to Sligo, and obviously the Vinnie Perth and Stephen Kenny saga and stuff like that. And Cork have lost a lot of players, so it's interesting. And for me, it looks like Pats and Rovers have strengthened big time. They look very, very good. Even Bows last night, I thought Bows were quite good. So it's an interesting one. Shane,
Vinnie Perth, 2 games in, 2 points in games that they really were hot favourites to win.
Yeah, and
do you have sympathy for him?
I don't think sympathy would be the word I'd use. He certainly wouldn't be looking for anybody's sympathy. I'm pretty sure. Like, it is only 2 games, and it'd be absolutely ridiculous for anybody to be getting carried away. And if I had to put the house on somebody at the moment, you'd be saying still staying Dundalk. I would anyway, personally myself. But like, it is a really, really, really strange dynamic. Like, I don't think you'll see it anywhere else in any European league where the team who are favourites to win the league title are managed by a guy who's never managed a team at any level, really. I don't think ever before. Now, he's had a brilliant grounding working alongside, you know, probably the best League of Ireland manager we've had.
But it was a poison chalice in that he was a bit like, you know, Alex Ferguson once he left Man United. You're taking over from a sort of a god.
There's that. And then the other side of it is, like, again, just going back to my own experience, like, the amount of mistakes I made as manager in the first season, in the first 2 seasons as Wexford Youths manager. But I was able to do that away from the glare of media, away from the spotlight of however many thousand supporters they're getting every single week. And you're learning your trade where you have room to learn your trade. Like, he has absolutely gone in at the deep end, as deep as he could go. And there's no opportunity to make mistakes and learn from them and get better as he goes along. That, you know, and I'm not talking about Vinny, I'm just talking about any manager who's never managed a team going in and managing deaf favourites in the top division as his first job. That's massive.
But arguably, Ciarán, John Caulfield might be under more pressure because he's there a long time. They've lost their first 2 games and they were, by all accounts, pretty poor at home to Waterford last night.
Yeah, I think they're probably more worried than Dundalk at the minute. Like, Everton, like, in fairness, Vinny was part of everything good that was in Dundalk previous to that. And even going back further, like, you're on about a poison chalice. Stephen Kenny took over the Rovers job and that was a poison chalice, and it didn't exactly go too well. So you're hoping it doesn't follow, you know, that suit. But
will Vinny be okay?
I think Vinny will be fine.
Yeah.
I think that I know he has a great relationship with that dressing room. I'm still friends with a lot of guys there, and I played under Vinny and Stephen, and it was great. I think he was the man to get it, and I hope it works out for him. And I think it'll take time, and I don't think anyone up there is going to jump the gun or anything like that. It's 2 games in, and you know, I think last year they opened up with 4 draws, did they, and then won it at a canter at the end. So, I mean, too early to be speculating for me on that.
Who do you fancy to win the league?
Dundalk.
Yeah,
I think
straightforward.
Yeah, I think
You're
so.
playing them Monday night.
I have Monday night.
The mind game's gone on there already.
Think what Ciarán said there. I saw something on Twitter last year where they drew the first 2 games and then beat Limerick 8 in the 3rd game. So
that's a good trend for you.
It comes for a backlash.
Oh yeah, Dundalk. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like what I'm saying, that it's a tough learning curve for Vinny. I think he'll be the manager of the team that win the league at the end of the year? I do. Yeah.
I fancy Shamrock Rovers, so I'm going to bring Ciarán, an ex-Shamrock Rovers man, to the conversation here. What do you make of them?
Yeah, listen, they were kind of running out of people to blame there for a while. You know, they've gone through a lot of managers and that, and now they're in a position to, you know, at last, you know, look like they're going to mount a serious challenge. I think they've got, you know, they're kind of over the hump now. They've got the players in now. They've got a really good squad. They've had a great start. And, you know, the other challengers look like they're maybe, you know, falling away a little bit, you know, whether by managers or, you know, players down in Cork, whatever. A lot of change has gone on. I think this is their chance. I think since Michael O'Neill left, they had to, you know, they went through so many other people. They went through Stephen Kenny as one. They went through a lot of people and they haven't been able to get it right. Maybe this could be their chance. I still myself personally think Dundalk are very strong. There's maybe Pats will be thinking, you know, they're the outside bet as well. So there'll be a couple around there, but it should be an interesting season.
Briefly, how will Stephen Kenny get on in Ireland when he takes the managerial job in a couple of years?
Yeah, no one deserves it more than him. He was, he's a glass half full kind of guy. He's something we need in Irish setup now. You know, he's going to bring a lot of optimism and he's very positive thinking. So I'm delighted he got the role and I'm excited to see how he does at it.
Lads, thanks a million for coming in. I hope you stay injury free for the rest of the season, and thanks again.
Thanks very much.
Cheers.
The Saturday Panel on Off the Ball. Get up-to-the-minute news updates at newstalk.com and on the Newstalk app.
Journey after journey, your vehicle's oils and fluids fight against huge pressure, resistance and temperatures. Make sure you regularly check your vehicle's oils and fluids to prevent harm to your vehicle and achieve peak performance and efficiency. Motor Tips, brought to you by Volkswagen Service. Book a service online at volkswagen.ie.
Match the